Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and we are thrilled as always to have in the studio with us my longtime friend and colleague, Jose Cruz. He is the CEO of the San Diego Council on Literacy. How you doing there, Jose?
I'm great. How are you, Drew?
Another good day in San Diego, and there's no rain.
No rain.
At least for a couple of minutes over here.
Yeah.
So I am honored to have on now 2 weeks in a row. Maybe we'll make this a regular deal. My co-host is Erin Tanner. She's a longtime community leader doing great things in the community. Are you enjoying this gig?
Oh, gosh, I had such a good time. I'm back for more.
Get back for more over here. You'll rue the day you said that, because we'll have you on forever.
Prepare to be sick of me.
Yeah, no, trust me, that ain't going to happen. Jose, talk about the history and the mission of the council.
San Diego Council on Literacy, we were formed back in 1986. How many years ago? 37 years ago. Our founders were Helen Copley, who at that time was the publisher, editor of the San Diego Union Tribune, and then County Supervisor Brian Bilbray. And back then, we were a network of 5 affiliated programs, and now we're up to 34 and growing. So a very important, good group of people, community leaders, program coordinators, but still a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. Erin?
Yeah, tell us about the state of literacy in San Diego.
We're not much different from the rest of the country, and then we are, especially being in California, where you see twice the percentage of individuals whose first language is not English. So nationally, that number is 21%. In California, it's more like 43%. But that's, most of the people who need help in San Diego County, they're English speaking. And so I want to dispel that myth. Not that, of course, not having English as a first language does affect maybe your ability to comprehend English and such. So maybe our scores are just a little bit higher, but about 22% of the adult population being at the lowest level of literacy. And then even more disturbing, I'm saying, is that 47% of our school-age children, grades 3 through 11, are not meeting the standard for language arts, which is reading and writing. Those are just incredibly outrageous and disturbing numbers.
Are they the same as they are in Oregon, Washington, Louisiana, whatever the case may be, or just varies state by state?
It does vary. California tends to be on the lower end of things.
Right.
I mean, that's, again, looking at the second language factor. And then when you look at our industries here, especially, we have the Salinas Valley, Central Valley, and Imperial. The numbers are those are agricultural areas and agricultural families and such. So not as much in the way of, let's say, college attendance or emphasis on public education. So there's a lot of things that come into play. But I think nationally, the numbers are similar to what we have in San Diego.
Right, exactly. And you mentioned about your affiliated programs. You have 34 of them now. How does one become an affiliated program? Is there a vetting process?
Yeah, yes, there is. I mean, we do have eligibility guidelines and an application. And what we really look for is programs that are providing services out there and not charging the users for the services. So that's a real requirement. So anyone we refer is going to be able to get help.
Yeah, no, that sounds terrific. Erin?
Yeah, who are part of the affiliated programs?
The real broad breakdown is 7 library-based literacy programs. They tend to work on adult literacy and family literacy. We have about 5 adult basic education institutions like San Diego Community College District, which has an arm that is the San Diego College of Continuing Education. So it's adult basic education and English as a second language. And they're actually the bulk of adult services. Nonprofit organizations whose primary function is not literacy, but they have a strong literacy component. It's a pretty big mix.
Beautiful. It's covering the whole family.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right, exactly. I know, Erin, you want to ask about the literacy index.
Yeah, the financial literacy, you have a superheroes competition?
So there's that. And then maybe we could talk about the literacy index too. So there's a couple of things. But thank you for bringing up the financial literacy superheroes competition, because it's happening now. And the deadline for entries is on March 31st. And this is where we're engaging young people ages 4 to 17 in a arts competition with a comic book theme, teaching a lesson about financial literacy. And we're so proud of all the partners that we have from the credit unions. I could list them all, but I'm not sure all the show's going to go on. The award ceremony takes place at the Comic-Con Museum, right? That just makes sense. And we're looking for more entries and such. But this is, again, if maybe you might not be the best writer, you might not know a whole lot about financial literacy, but you might be an artist or a comic book fan. And certainly we did this last year and we saw just a bunch of incredible talent.
Right. So the deadline is what?
March 31st. So that's,
okay. And can it be extended at all?
Oh, I'd have to. I thought about that a little bit, and it's like, okay, what about the people who met the deadline? But that's a good question, Drew.
Because we're always doing that with Classroom of the Future Foundation, in that aspect of it. So, where do they go to sign up?
So they can go to literacysandiego.org, and we do have that on our homepage. You just take the link, and then it'll take you to the page.
Right. And do they actually submit something? Is there a judging panel, or is there an actual event? What happens?
There's first of all, they actually do submit a work 8.5 by 11 size.
Right.
It could be a poster. It could be like a comic book cover, or it could be like a page of a comic book. It's pretty cool.
Sure.
And then we do have judging from our credit union partners, Mission Fed, My Point, North Island Credit Union, and CalCos. Damn, I remembered them all.
You did.
And so they'll be judging later on in April. And then coming up with the winners in the 5 categories.
Right. And is there like a ceremony at the Comic-Con Museum?
Yes, that's April 22nd.
Okay.
We're not saying the time because right now it's by invitation only.
Right.
And but that's going to be a lot of fun.
And are there prizes or other awards?
Oh yeah, there's cash prizes.
Okay.
$500 and $1,000 cash prizes. So thanks for asking.
Yeah. Now, does that go to the individual student? Does it go to the school of the student? How does that work?
It goes to the student. It goes to the artist.
Yeah.
And if you'd have been with us, whoever was there last year would have seen the families and these kids, young people coming in so proud, and we're hoping to, for, like I said, more entries and that same wonderful experience.
Yeah, well, listen, our listeners, you've had Jose on the show many, many times and want to support his efforts there. So shout out that website one more time.
LiteracySanDiego.org, and it's the Financial Literacy Superheroes Competition.
And what's the age group?
Ages 4 through 11.
4 through 11. Okay, very, very good. And
4 to 17.
4 to 17. Okay,
4 to 17.
4 to 17. All right, that sounds great. And then I do want to shout out those credit unions, Jose. We were very happy to have everybody on the air for the most part a couple of weeks ago. And what I loved about it was the fact that it was a great collaboration of folks that they're in a pretty competitive field, right?
Yeah.
Credit unions, but Mission Fed and North Island Credit Union and Cal Coast all coalesced to help support this great cause. And then you mentioned, I think My Point came on, couldn't make the show, but came on as well. And, it's, I think what Todd Lane, the CEO of CalCos, called it is a co-opetition. Co-opetition.
It's inspiring. I mean, we need to see this in all factions of our community, but the credit unions are doing it, and they're proud of it, and we love them. Yeah,
absolutely. We come back from break. I know Aaron's going to get back to that literacy index and cities that read and so forth. We'll talk about your Gapminders podcast as well, and something near and dear to my heart, and found out Aaron's too. She's an avid reader in the 350,000 books that are going to be delivered ever since June of 2020, which is remarkable. And then, of course, the Imagination Library program. So a lot more to cover when we return with Jose Cruz. He is the CEO of the San Diego Council on Literacy, joined by my co-host, Aaron Tanner, a longtime community leader doing great things in the space of literacy and the military and everything in between. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and we are back with another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union here in the beautiful Mission Fed studio in the Scripps Ranch. And Mission Fed's been doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. We are here with Jose Cruz, CEO of the San Diego Council on Literacy, joined by my co-host, Aaron Tanner, and just going over some of the wonderful things going on with the council, talking about the second annual, right, Financial Literacy Superheroes competition. Again, entries are due by when?
March 31st, Friday, March 31st. And there's, it's fun and we welcome everyone.
Right, exactly. Ages 4 to 17, all focused on drawing and creativity and financial literacy. And I want to thank those credit unions that are involved in this. All of it will culminate in some celebration down in the Comic-Con Museum, the former San Diego Hall of Champions in Balboa Park. So, again, really want to encourage our listeners to get involved in that. You still have some time to submit those entries. Aaron, I know you want to chat about the Literacy Index and cities that read.
Yeah, we had a great conversation during our break. So I'm going to say it all over again. So tell us about the Literacy Index and cities that read.
The Literacy Index is our attempt to do a couple of things, and probably, which one's more important. I have to think about that. But what tends to happen is, you've just heard on this show that 47% of our school-age children, grades 3 through 11, are not meeting the standard for reading and writing. So what do you do with that as a listener, as a resident, community person? Most of the time what happens is, whoa, that's really sad. Those are bad numbers. That's outrageous. Well, we need to do something about that. And then we go on with our lives. And so what we're doing with the Literacy Index is creating a measure of things that are material in terms of generating a change in the state of literacy in San Diego County. So we're working with what we call geographers, at least trying to engage with them so that we can produce this measure. But the other part of it is not just showing the change. The other part of it is creating something similar to what you see when you check the weather, you check the stock market. What's the literacy index today? And, we're grateful to Charles Parisi because that was the thing that he introduced to that whole idea. He's an ideas person. And so here we are. We're pursuing that because we need to keep this cause in the public eye so that people understand the state of literacy, its impact on us, what it does to children. I mean, when we help a child with their reading and writing skills, we're saving their lives, their quality of life. And then, of course, we have adults who have these roles that they play in our community as workers and community members and parents, head of household, et cetera. There's every reason in the world to be investing in this and keeping this in our consciousness and investing. And we're just not seeing that at the level that we need to see it. And we need to keep this in front of people.
Are there any other areas where around the country where they're having success in this, where, boy, they get it, whether it's, Timbuktu, whatever the case may be? You and I have had this conversation for almost as long as we've known each other in this, and you hit the nail on the head on this. I know Aaron would agree as well, being an avid reader. One of the things we used to do all the time, Jose, when the Union Tribune would put on a race for literacy and raise money for the council, and did it quite successfully for many, many years. And, we would have ads in the paper that would have a prescription and have it in gobbledygook and say, imagine you're getting this. You potentially could hurt yourself by not taking the right prescription. But I think the thing that really, I started doing this more often, I think you'd liked it as well. When you talk to people about literacy and you have them close their eyes, and they're all literate people in the room trying to raise money for literacy, and say, I want you to close your eyes, and when I say open, you now can't read. And when you do that, the look on people's faces is, but I can read. I said, yeah, but that person over there can't do that. Your life has changed.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. I mean, I would lose my breath. It's conscious. If I had to live in a world where I couldn't read, and there are people who do, and the hard part, and you've given a good example of a simulation that would at least help people understand. But they're out there, and they don't want to be found.
That's right.
They're and you don't see it. Let's just say in the newspaper business, if it bleeds, it leads. Right. We see a lot of the symptoms, but literacy or illiteracy, literacy or the lack of it, is a root problem. It's underground, and it gets missed because it gets missed at the same time that it's right in our face. Well, I always say we are everywhere and we're nowhere. So,
and you bring up a good point on this, and that's true. And the same thing with the military, I think that Aaron would agree with, is that there's a lot of great services for people that are transitioning out of the military or veterans. They may be struggling, but either they don't want to admit they're struggling, and that's certainly understandable, PTSD, whatever the case may be. And same with someone admitting, I can't read to my 8-year-old, so I'm not going to get help. That's an issue.
Yes, it is. And your perception, your belief from where you are is everybody else can read. And it's not true. It's not true. So just so people understand that it's a common issue.
Yeah, without question. We're chatting with Jose Cruz. He's the CEO of the San Diego Council on Literacy. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years, joined by my co-host, doing her second feat as co-hosting admirably, Erin Tanner. Erin, I know you have another question for Jose.
Yeah, I have heard about the Gapminders podcast quite a few times now. Can you tell our listeners more about that?
Sure. This is, again, another effort to be an advocate for greater literacy in San Diego County. The Gapminders podcast is on Cloudcast Media, and I am the co-host along with Nancy Sasaki, who is the CEO of the United Way of San Diego. The United Way works on a diverse, all kinds of
from soup to nuts.
Yeah, Health and Human Service Agency, health and human service issues, and literacy touches, or again, the lack of it touches on all of those. So it's an ideal partnership, and what we do is interview different leaders in the community or even outside the community, and talk to them about the gaps that are out there, maybe the role that illiteracy plays in terms of those issues, and maybe the things that they'd like to see happening. So we're almost at our 50th interview. But what I'm really proud of is very few people say, no, I'm not really interested in being interviewed on Gapminders. Everybody says yes. And it's a great thing and a great forum and another mouthpiece for us.
Yeah, and you really can't do that enough. I know you had Secretary of State Shirley Weber on, who I was honored to work with when I was at San Diego Unified a billion years ago, and getting some really key leaders. Maybe one of these days, as I love to do, create work for other people, not for myself, is bring in a sort of all the ones who have chatted and almost have a celebration of you. Maybe you've already talked about that.
We have, and haven't quite filled in, colored it in a whole lot, but right. I think that's the plan. We talk about our roster of notable Gapminders.
That's right.
And then bring them together and having a conversation about, and getting beyond conversation, right? Taking it a step beyond and being engaged in and producing, making progress and making change happen.
Right, yeah, no, without question. Listen, Jose, you and I have chatted about this before. Maybe you guys sort of stumbled on this thing, or you weren't a big book distribution organization, but now you are, among other things. And 350,000 books for children since June of 2020, testament to you, because you didn't say no. There were a lot of organizations, we can't handle the books, we can't store the books, we're not going to do it. And you said, enough of that stuff. We're going to, strap ourselves up. We're going to get the seatbelt going, and we're going to make this happen.
We're willing to put everything on the line. I was out there helping to move pallets of books. I got out of that business. It's dangerous. And you got a guy like me driving a flatbed truck with 7 pallets on it, and we just couldn't pass on the opportunity. This is a rare occurrence that took place because COVID created this backlog or backup of books that weren't moving anywhere. So these books were being donated to foundations who had the donors who could pay for the shipping. And we were right there. We were at the front of the line, and we're able to help out too with getting these books out to the rest of the country. So it's been a great thing. We're talking about over $3 million in books for children. These are the kind of books you would find in Barnes & Noble, and they're still coming in. At some point, it's probably going to stop. But for now, we're still not saying no, because even at 350,000 books, it's not enough.
Right. Talk a little bit about the aspect of, you and I, we put this on the top of our list of how many kids don't have their own book. And I know it's very important when the kid gets a book, that's my book. It's not my brother's book. It's not my sister's book. It's not my parents' book. It's not been passed down. It's my book.
Yeah. We're not really sure what the numbers are. The one that gets thrown around out there is that 60% of low-income children have no books at home.
Right.
Books are expensive. And that experience, what you just described, Drew, is heartbreaking. We have to train the kids not to bring the book back. We have to train the parents to not force their child to bring the book back. And that's just a new thing for these families. And so we wonder sometimes why we have the challenges that we have, that some of the things that we need happening in the home environment are not happening. And they tend to be associated with access to resources, being low income, et cetera.
Right, exactly. I know you got one more topip you want to bring up to Jose.
Imagination Library Program and Little Free Library. It kind of reminds me of the neighborhood.
Boy.
Those little book, those little houses. Is it kind of like that, or something completely different?
No, that's what Little Free Library is. It's the little houses. Some of them legally registered, some of them are not, and they're popping up all over San Diego County. We are working with the County of San Diego, the county library, to replenish these Little Free Libraries, what I call stations. So that's another way of getting books to not just to kids, but to families, adults, and such. And then the Imagination Library program, stay close to that. That's Dolly Parton's program. I want to say the governor just approved funding, one-time funding in the amount of $64 million to make this a statewide program. San Diego Council on Literacy is the only Imagination Library program in San Diego County, except for one that's in Borrego Springs. And so we're well positioned to take these new resources and blow up our numbers so that more children are getting books mailed to their homes every month. They have to be age 0 to 5. Once they turn 5 years old, they're too old. Right. But again, going back to the conversation we were having about we're winning and losing the battle in the home, getting those books into the homes where they need to be.
Yeah, without question on that. Jose, shout out one more time. The Superheroes Financial Literacy Competition deadline is on Friday the 31st.
That's correct. And find the information there, the entry form, and submit an artwork at literacysandiego.org.
Right, exactly. All the information, ages 4 to 17. And, we've talked about this quite a bit. The best way our listeners can help you is to volunteer, get engaged in competitions like financial literacy, help delivered books if need be. And all they have to do is just go onto your website and you'll show those volunteer opportunities.
Absolutely. We're ready, and all volunteers are precious to us, important to us. We can't do this by ourselves. We need engagement at all levels of the community.
Well, Jose, congratulations on 37 years. You are literally known as Mr. Literacy in San Diego. I know you hate that moniker and that aspect of it, but it's good. It's good to have a brand in that aspect of it, and really important because when you are involved with these different conversations, they know it's going to focus on literacy. So congratulations. We look forward to having you back on again many, many more times, and good luck with the Financial Literacy Heroes competition.
Thank you, Drew.
You bet. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing great things for San Diegans for more than 60 years. I want to thank our guest, Jose Cruz, CEO of the San Diego Council on Literacy, and my more than capable co-host, Aaron Tanner, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.